the panel, and of course, especially thank Mr. Moksiski for making the trip from upstate to tell the folks here in DC about the needs of rural communities. 11 counties, that's how many counties are in New York 19. I represent the third most rural district of any Democrat in this body, the eighth, both Republicans and Democrats. As you've articulated, Greenport is one of the many communities in New York 19 where residents are not only struggling to pay their water bills due to increasing rates, but also have seen an increase in property taxes to pay for vital infrastructure projects. It is for this reason that I'm glad to support the Water Act, which creates a water trust fund to be used by the Clean and Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Funds. Legislation would also create a new grant program to help rural communities improve their water and sewer systems. Now, you've talked about technical assistance for small and rural communities and how important it is to help with complying with the Clean Water Act and assessing the state's revolving funds. Can you explain how this works specifically, and how has Greenport, I know you've talked about a little bit of this earlier with the $75,000 grant, has benefited from technical assistance?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we work with rural water quite a bit. They've helped us with our clean water, our revolving fund loans. They've helped us with contacts with people. They've helped guide us on how to pursue this. We're a small rural community. We don't have anyone on staff who does this. We either have to hire an engineer or we have to go to someone like Rural Water to help guide us through it. And we have a lot of the same problems that the large communities do, where you do have to go to a number of different funding sources and see if you can get funding in order to be able to do your projects. And without the money from the revolving loan fund, we could not do a lot of these projects. We just simply couldn't afford them. With the American Resource and Recovery Act money that we received with our wastewater plant, we were under consent order. We were looking at a $9.5 million bill. If we had self-financed it, we would have spent $17 million over the 30 years of the loan. We were fortunate. We were going to end up spending roughly around $4 million for that same plant, which made it something that our community was able to afford. We would not have been able to afford it without that help. We were very fortunate to get a zero-interest loan. We were extremely fortunate to get half loan forgiveness. That also allowed us to turn around and do another water project afterwards that badly needed to be done. We had 50 water breaks a year. That work needed to be done. There's no way we would have been able to do both. It just would have been impossible for our community. We can't afford it. We still have a lot of work left to do. We need to upgrade our pump system. We need to upgrade our transmission system. There's a lot of money still left on the table, and hopefully with the SRF money, we'll be able to do that. We have been raising rates. We've been trying to keep them from getting too extreme because our residents just can't afford it. We have a lot of seniors. We used to have a lot of industry in our area.
Yes.
And that's basically what paid for most of the infrastructure to go in the first place, but most of that is gone now.
Right.
And the businesses that we do have are not the type that really participate in the community in the same way that the industry and the factories that were there before used to participate. It's a lot of retail, a lot of small stores, but they don't have the kind of resources and funds to support the infrastructure like some of the larger businesses that we had in the past did. So,
yeah, and I appreciate all of that. And to follow up, piggyback on a comment or a question from one of my colleagues earlier on the distinction between public and private action and the role that some might believe private actors are better suited to in terms of, or suited for in terms of addressing these scenarios. And I have often found that absent a population center, a dense population center that can function as a basis for achieving profit in some way, shape, or form, rural communities are marginalized as a result because private actors don't have the incentive to invest in these communities. And one would therefore hope that in promoting the general welfare and promoting the public good, as is our responsibility as detailed in the Constitution, that the government would at that point deem it appropriate to leave no one behind. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Thank you.